Good evening and welcome to the work session business meeting of October 17th, 2024. Please stand for the pledge. We are being led by...
Come on up to the microphone. You guys introduce yourselves. The two of you. Come. Unless anyone else wants to join. Okay, tell me your name and then we'll start together. That mic right there. Okay, tell me your name.
My name is Trevor Specht and I'm in 8th grade.
Go ahead, Gage.
My name is Gage Morales. I'm also in 8th grade.
All right, so both of you start and everyone else will join in.
We speak the pledge.
Yep.
Pledge.
Yep.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's always nice to have students lead us in the pledge. I'm going to open it up for public comment on any of the listed agenda items.
So if you have public comment, you could come up, but I'm going to hijack the meeting real fast. So I do want to take this opportunity to recognize our volunteer board members, as this is School Board Recognition Week. So for anyone who does not know, our 5 board members are volunteers. They put in a tremendous amount of time, effort to support public education, and they do that all free of charge. So the salary, Sam will tell you, is terrible. But they believe passionately in public education and what it means to have a school district like we have here. So we're lucky to have vision and expertise amongst our board members. And for anyone who doesn't know, I just want to highlight some of the key functions of a school board member. So the key work of school boards is to raise student achievement by developing a shared vision and goals for a district, ensuring strategies, resources, policies, and programs align with district goals, assessing and providing accountability for student achievement, supporting a healthy school district culture in which to work and learn, evaluating the superintendent, that's the toughest part of the job, to ensure continuous improvement, and very much more. So I did want to quickly thank them all and to take an opportunity to recognize them for their volunteerism. Thank you. So we got some flowers and plants. We have some goodie bags, swag bags. So just a quick token of our appreciation for all that you guys do. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate your kind words. Thank you. Okay, so no comments on the agenda item. So we're going to start with the consent agenda. Mr. O?
Yes. Resolved to approve the consent agenda items 2 through 10 as presented to the board at this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments?
The consent agenda includes approval of the previous minutes for the previous meeting, additional and/or unpaid work hours for various staff members, an updated substitute listing. We're appointing staff to the community liaison position. That will be Maria Goldrick and Julie Perez. Approving a legal settlement agreement, approving donation of equipment of no further use or value to the district. It's 2 keyboards that are being donated to the town of Putnam Valley Parks and Recreation. Approving 2 corrected tax roll applications, CSC and CPSC placements, and an in-service correction from the last meeting. And that's it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolutions pass. Okay, we're going to move into our presentations. Dr. Luff, do you want to introduce them?
Sure. So we have an exciting night ahead of us. We have 3 presentations, 2 of which will be exciting. Well, I'll reserve the policy update for not the exciting part. But we have some administrators, teachers, and we have some students that are here before us this evening as well. So our first presentation will be our athletics, physical education, and health services. And I'd like to welcome up Rob Webb, our Director of Athletics, Physical Education, and Health Services. Thank you, Rob. Mike, I'll introduce you later, right?
Thank you. Good evening. First tonight, we're going to take a look at our physical and health education department. One of the things we're working on this year is a curriculum review. In collaboration with our health and physical education teachers, we have begun to explore the idea of implementing technology in physical education. 2 of the programs include Hive Class and Platform, which enhance student engagement, promote lifelong fitness, and continue to support our physical education standards. Some of the key components include a diverse approach to instruction that promotes lifelong fitness, personalized learning, data-driven monitoring, and increased motivation. The focus is on long-term health and wellness and highlights the importance of maintaining an active lifestyle while promoting habits that contribute to lifelong learning in physical education and health education. We also have a big focus on professional development for our physical and health education teachers this year. We are providing PD offerings that are subject specific to our physical and health education teachers. On November 5th, we have district-wide professional development, and we're sending our physical and health education teachers to the New York State AFERD Southeastern Zone Conference on Election Day, where they'll have the opportunity to explore a bunch of different seminars and presentations that are specific to their subjects and their grade levels. We're also exploring the idea of becoming a member of the BOCES Physical Education and Health Consortium, which provides ongoing professional development throughout the year for our physical education and health teachers. And finally, Hive Class, which is one of the platforms we're exploring as a curriculum support, also offers professional development. Some of the topics include character development through physical education, technology and physical education, supporting literacy through physical education, and physical education reimagined for the 21st century learning.
Before you go on, Rob,
Sure.
Rob, that's, because people may not know, that's K to 12, correct?
That is K to
This is not
12.
just high school
Correct.
athletics? Okay.
Correct. So that will be for our health teachers in the middle and the high school, and our K to 12 elementary, middle, and high school physical
That's great.
education
Thank you.
teachers. One of the other things we are looking at this year is working with health services and focusing in on our athlete registration. We have also begun to look at new online registration systems for athletics to streamline communication and the registration process for our families, as well as for our nurses and athletic trainers. Final Forms is one of the platforms that we are exploring, and it's currently being promoted by the New York State High School Athletics Association. Looking back at last year, although I wasn't here, there was a lot of great successes throughout the year, and I want to highlight some of those points. We had 113 athletes that earned all league honors last year. 24 of those student athletes were also recognized as all section athletes, and one athlete, Ava Harmon, who graduated, she was also recognized for all state honors. We had 14 scholar athlete teams, and 248 of our athletes at the high school level on a varsity team were also recognized for individual scholar athletes. And what that is that our student athletes maintained a 90 or above during their athletic season. We also had 10 league championships, 3 Section 1 championships, a regional championship, state championship, and then Eduardo Racinos, who was the manager of our football team, he was recognized and was awarded the USA Football's Heart of a Giant award last year. Looking at our athletic programs and fall registration, in front of you, you see registration over the last 4 years. The numbers are a little small down at the bottom, but this year we had 255 student athletes register at the high school level. That's a significant increase in participation at the high school level this fall. It's actually an 18% increase in registration from last year. Numbers have been pretty steady over the previous 3 years, but we had a tremendous increase this year. Registration numbers were consistent or increased across every single sport. So one sport stayed the same, the rest of our sports had increased registration this fall. With the exception of one sport, we're able to offer varsity and JV programs for all of our fall programs. Similar to the high school level, our modified programs had an increase in registrations as well in nearly every sport, and fortunately we were able to have the number of participants across all of our offerings to offer each program this year. Last year, unfortunately, we weren't able to offer girls soccer, but this year we held strong and we got 16 of our girls to come out for the program this year. Some quick updates on how our teams and programs are doing this fall. The fall, from a record standpoint, we have a number of highly successful teams: field hockey, volleyball, football, girls soccer, and our girls swimming team, which is merged with Mayapack, as well as Carmel. They all have winning records. Many of our teams sit near the top of their leagues and conferences, and we're likely to host a number of postseason events over the next couple of weeks. In addition to the success of our teams, we also have had a number of individual successes across all of our sports this fall.
I have a request from Mr. Elsasser. If you can slide the picture of this over slightly before we post it online.
I intentionally did not do that. We had a very
You would like
successful
the home
homecoming.
score included, if that's possible?
Last week, as you know, we also did have our homecoming. It was an extremely successful event. We had a tremendous turnout, and it was really overall a great night. We also recognized our senior athletes for our football program, but all of our senior athletes have been recognized, with the exception of boys soccer. They'll be recognized this Saturday in the afternoon. If you guys are around, come out and support our boys soccer program. The Inside Out Initiative. One of the major points of focus in athletics this fall has been the implementation of the Inside Out Initiative. Our coaches have been involved in professional development that has guided them towards reflection and growth within their programs. What is the Inside Out Initiative? It's purpose-based interscholastic athletics, where we provide an experience to our student athletes that connects them with transformational coaches. We like to build a culture of belonging for their social, emotional, and character development. It goes beyond the X's and O's, beyond the wins and the losses, and it really focuses on helping our students to succeed in all areas of life. We ask our coaches to consider 4 questions at the beginning of the season and reflect on it throughout the season, and at the end of the season we'll come back and we'll revisit these same 4 questions. Why do I coach? Why do I coach the way that I do? How does it feel to be coached by me? And how do I define success? These questions help our coaches to reflect on their coaching and the impact that they have on our student athletes. Through this process, our coaches define the purpose of coaching and create a collective definition of success within their programs. Through Inside Out, we also had the opportunity to attend a student leadership conference this fall. We were very fortunate to have the opportunity to involve 2 of our coaches and 2 of our student athletes in a student leadership conference at MetLife Stadium that was hosted by Section 1, the New York Giants, the NFL Foundation, and the Inside Out Initiative. Tonight we have Coach Elsasser and sophomore Mikey Fry from our football program who would like to talk more about the Inside Out Initiative and the Student Leadership Conference. Coach Parchin and Coach and Maggie Caputo, one of our student athletes on field hockey, they could not be here tonight because they have a game at Pauling. So hopefully they just put a win in the books. Mikey, Coach Elsasser, if you guys could come up and briefly talk.
Thank you very much. Homecoming was a fantastic event. I think everyone had a good time, and the town definitely came out to support, which was nice. Going on to the Inside Out initiative, this is the second stage of the Inside Out initiative for us as coaches. We first learned about this initiative last year with the introduction of the philosophy behind it. In doing so, we were able to bring some of the basic concepts into the meeting rooms for football. One of our biggest takeaways we've brought into the program include identifying our why. This is something we discussed when we first attended the Inside Out meeting. We talked about why as coaches. We asked our athletes to identify their why, and why do we coach and why do we play? Why do we want to be successful and what does it look like? I feel that this has been a great starting point, and as a coach, it's been great to hear and kind of utilize that philosophy on the field. The goal of the Inside Out initiative is to grow and develop as coaches with a focus on transformational coaching as opposed to transactional. The idea that we get more from focusing on the players first and letting that develop and transition into success on the field. Building relationships, an understanding of roles and how important each role is, no matter the size, and being the best athlete and especially teammate that we can be. Building quality traits and teaching life skills that will last far beyond football. And when Mr. Webb asked me for one candidate to come with me, I had to pick our sophomore captain, Mikey Fry, and he has a few things to say as well.
Hello, my name is Michael Fry. I'm currently in 10th grade. During the visit to MetLife, there was a focus on leadership. We discussed a more modern take on being a leader. During my life in athletics up to this point, I have been lucky enough to be in a position to be both a leader as well as a follower. I have had positive and negative interactions with leaders and strive to be the best leader that I can be while in that role. During the visit, we had the opportunity to not only learn about leadership, but we had the opportunity to engage with other student athletes around Section 1. One takeaway I have from this experience is that having a good leader is crucial in order for a team to be successful. A good leader is someone that will support their team and their teammates through the good and the bad. They should be a good role model for their teammates to look up to. A good leader should be all in on the team and focus on how they can improve the team and the team's success, and not just their own individual stats. A good leader should be unselfish and care more about the team winning. My name is Michael Fry. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Mikey. I think they did better than I did.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
That was excellent. And Mike, we really appreciate hearing from the students and what you got out of it. So thank you very much. You too, but especially the students. So,
Mikey, can I get you on record of who's your favorite superintendent? All right. So one day he's going to be like a professional athlete. I just wanted that recorded somewhere so I could use that. Thank you, guys.
And the last thing before we wrap up is I want to talk about a few of our upcoming events. We have our First Responder Appreciation Night, which we'll be doing before our football game at 6 o'clock on November 1st, and we'd like to recognize all of our first responders in the community, and they're encouraged to attend and join us on the field. And finally, in line with our student leadership opportunities, working with Section 1 and Section 9, we have another Student Athlete Summit, where we'll send 2 of our student athletes from our winter programs, as well as one of our coach, to a summit on leadership and the importance of student voice, and that will happen on November 4th at Mount St. Mary's College.
wow, excellent.
Thank you.
Coach, quick question. Will we be doing the athletic award ceremony again this year? Do you have that planned?
Absolutely. We have a date planned in June. I believe off the top of my head, it's the 18th to work around testing and other events going,
Outstanding.
but we will have that
That's
event.
good to hear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very nice job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I just want to again make a pitch for the First Responder Appreciation Night on November 1st. Really, the purpose of this is, and it has always started with, we live in a community that's lucky, blessed to be surrounded by both volunteer and professional first responders, whether you're law enforcement, fire services, medical fields, military. We want anyone who is recognized as a first responder to come out and be recognized. And all we ask for this, you don't have to sign up. All you got to do is show up. Walk down the driveway, stand on the field, allow us to say some nice words and thank you for all your time and service, and then be able to either leave right from there or stay and watch a football game. And I'm anxiously awaiting the day where we fill the turf with the first responders that live or work or serve our community, because I know there's that many. So if you know someone, if your spouse is someone, if you are someone who is a first responder, we really encourage you to come out. It takes a few minutes out of your day, provides us the opportunity to thank you for what you do. And I really want our students to see the power of those people who work in the service industry and the number of those individuals who live in our town. So I think that's no greater example for our students to be able to show them a field full of first responders. So whether you're paid, whether you're volunteer, regardless of what field you're in, it doesn't matter to me. If you got a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, anyone you want to bring with you, I really want to show the power that we have in our community. So I encourage everyone to come out. Thank you. Our next presentation this evening will be our middle school update. So I'd like to invite up Travis McCarty and Miss Jamie Zecca. They also have special guests with them. So.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Travis McCarty. I have the privilege of being the principal of Putnam Valley Middle School, and I'm joined this evening by my fantastic assistant principal, Miss Jamie Zecca. So our 2024-2025 school year is off to a wonderful start. I can't say enough about the transition of our incoming fifth graders and our new students, as well as our sixth, seventh, and eighth graders on their return to school. As you can see based on the images, these are just a few of the many images that we have on our Google Slide webpage. All smiles, lots of activities planned thus far. And we'll talk a little bit more about the eventful opening that we've had. But our teachers up in the left-hand corner, fifth grader in the right, some of our fifth graders in the middle, and so on and so forth. So lots of smiles all around on our opening. So before we start with our opening, I just want to review a few things that happened last year, because it is important to reflect on all the events, the trips, and the ceremonies that occur throughout the middle school. And some of these are repeated year after year, but our student government elections from last year, our very successful middle school drama Anastasia, student staff Olympics and volleyball games, band and chorus concerts, 5th through 8th grade, our Halloween bash, spring fling. We brought back our art, music, technology, and talent show. Very successful evening, which was really highlighted by our student performers. And our PTA, can't thank them enough for our Minute to Win It event that took place last year. We're kind of been looking for something in between Color Wars and the event at the elementary school, and we kind of settled on the Minute to Win It, which had each grade level in our health and wellness center and in our middle school gymnasium competing in friendly events, and it was very successful. Just want to highlight our trips, because I do think philosophically having our kids engaged in activities that are outside our school premises is key. They're engaged, and we started off this year, and we started off last year with our TOEC event. A lot of people don't know a whole lot about TOEC, but it's in our back door, and it's part of Fawnstock Park, and Ms. Secca will talk a little bit more about that. We had our trip to Lake Compounds in Washington, D.C. for our 8th grade, our 7th grade trip to Spins, our 8th grade Town Park and Medieval Times, 6th grade, and then our 5th grade trip to Bounce. I did want to highlight our music department, because I often feel we overlook what great things our musicians are doing within the building. There was the junior high all-county, 7th and 8th grade band and chorus students went to. Our elementary all-county, which is our 5th and 6th graders in both band and chorus. And our NISMUS full solo event, which was band and chorus students in grades 5 through 8. And of course, our two really big ceremonies throughout our school years, our National Junior Honor Society in the spring, and our moving up ceremony at the end of the school year. Don't call it a graduation, it's just a moving up, because they're going to high school. And a few pictures. So let's talk a little bit about our assessments in comparing the differences between the 2024 school year and this school year. So there were a few changes last year in that our 5th and 8th graders moved to computer-based testing. And we saw actually some pretty good success in that transition. It's really nice being a one-to-one laptop program, and it's really nice that our kids have access to the practice assessments, which were online. And by the way, our 5th and 8th grade science assessments were the first of the next generation science standards, which were assessed last spring. And we also had 4 investigations, which are labs, that our 5th graders completed last year and our 8th graders completed last year. So this school year, we're looking forward to our entire building going to computer-based assessments. So all students in grades 5 through 8 will transition to everything on their laptops. And we are moving our investigations. We're rolling them out a little bit differently because those are shared assessments. Actually, our 5th grade science test is an assessment that measures 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. So even though that 5th grade assessment is given in 5th grade, it assesses what our 3rd graders learned, what our 4th graders learned, and our 5th graders learned. And those labs are shared across those 3 years. Now you know. Our 8th grade science assessment is very similar. So they're assessed from what they learned in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science. And those labs are shared amongst our grade levels, 1 in 6th grade, 1 in 7th, and 2 in 8th. And of course, I can't thank our science teachers enough for this transition, because not only are they adapting to the new science standards, but now having these investigations on top of that and a brand new assessment. We've already looked at our results internally, and we're very excited for the results, which we can't share yet, but we will share in the spring. So thank you to those science teachers and our teachers all around for their dedication to our students. So just like Dr. Podesta did in sharing a little bit of what the elementary school did, these are the results that we have from not this year's assessment, but the prior year's assessment. This is something called toll meter that we use, school meter that we use, and it compares how we do to New York State. So in order to read this, if you look at the 2023 school year and you go upwards of that, you will see that the darker the color, the better we are across New York, in comparing across New York State. So if you look here, we were a 2 in the state. So if you're 1, you're the best. The higher the number, the worse off you are. And this measures our 3s and our 4s, the kids that are proficient. So 2023 school year, our 5th graders were 2, 6th graders were 2, 7th graders were 2, and 8th grade was 1. And you can follow these cohorts diagonally. This is what I like to see. This was our COVID year when no one was tested. So if you follow these kids all the way through, like this 5th grade, they were a 5 coming in, then they jumped to a 2, COVID year, finished at a 4. So here, if you look, those 6th graders, in 5th grade they were a 2, then they continued as a 2, 5th grade a 4, a 1, a 2, a 1, a 3, and a 1. So that's diagonal. And by the way, these are our ELA scores. And then over here we see our math scores. So in 2023, our 5th graders were a 2, 6th graders a 1, 7th graders a 3, and 8th graders a 3. And we have data meetings every 3 weeks. We review our New York State assessment results. We use our iReady results. So it's really data-informed instruction. And I can just share with the public as well, we have adopted and integrated Eureka Math up into our 7th and 8th grade starting this year. We've seen a lot of success in our earlier years in the middle school, and we're now adapting it, and our math teachers are doing a tremendous job kind of navigating what we're providing for them. And it's a lot of work integrating a new program, and they're doing wonderful, wonderful work with that.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was just wondering, there's a really incredible difference between pre-COVID and post-COVID, especially for ELA. Is there something that you can attribute to the success of the students, something that you implemented that caused the increase?
Sure. I think that our ELA teachers, in 5th grade, we started to integrate guided reading, which has been really nice. And that's kind of growing from the elementary school and what they do with their guided reading instruction. And really just looking at the data and our kids, just their investment in the middle school. I mean, COVID was a really challenging time, right?
But it's even before that. I mean, like before the COVID year.
18, 19.
Mhm.
Yeah, 18 and 19. And now it's incredible. I mean, you've made such an improvement.
I think one of the things that's driving this, and not to take anything away from our tremendous teachers, is the opt-out numbers. And as we go back pre-COVID, we had in some cases 50, 60% of our students opt out and not take the exam. and that drastically skewed the performance numbers. Over the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen a steady decline in the number of students opting out, which is an increase in the number of students completing the assessment. So it gives us a much more realistic view of how our students are performing. Right? Obviously, a teacher wants all of their kids to take the test to get a sense as to how they did versus only half of their class, and they have no control who that half of the class is. So I think as those numbers hopefully continue to decline, we're getting a much more realistic look at how our students are performing and sense how well our teachers are doing instructing them.
Yeah, and our teachers do a really nice job of reviewing the data to inform their instruction. So it's like anything. As we continue to grow, we continue to work at areas of growth, and we celebrate our successes, and we continue to highlight those successes. So, yeah, we've had great.
Thank you.
Travis, what do the science investigations do for students who, like, didn't take it in 7th grade or weren't here in 7th grade or came, like, if they have to have 4 of them by the time they get to 8th grade and they've missed one, do they have to pick it up somehow?
They do. We are tasked with giving those investigations. If they transfer from another district and they hadn't taken it, we get that with their transcripts, and we have to provide them time to make up those investigations prior to taking the assessment.
I'll be curious to see how that works out. It just seems like an almost impossible task to be doing the investigations on top of the curriculum, and then to have to pull kids out to make up investigations that they missed, because it's not just like, I assume, it's not just like one lesson. It's more involved than that.
Yeah, it takes time. Labs take time. And I have to tell you, it is a challenging task. But the nice part about these labs, if you were ever an earth science teacher or a living environment teacher, those labs that they integrate in and year out, these labs are similar in a way. So it is good to reflect on the process, but it does take time. And those kids that didn't get the opportunity to take that, we are actually offering like release time so that they can take care of it, so that that teacher doesn't have to leave their class to make up, a handful of students. We provide that time separately so that, they have a bit of curriculum to teach prior to these assessments.
Right.
It is a tall task for sure.
While we're asking questions, I have
Great
one.
question.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The computer-based testing, is that available only in English or English and Spanish, or what languages?
Yeah.
So what we've been doing for our E&L population specifically is, depending on where they are and what level of E&L they are, they can take the exam on paper in their own language. There are some languages that are not available. In that case, we can have a translator come in and actually manually read the book. And then there are some E&L students who are immersed in English, can take the test here, but might need the Spanish guide or another language guide for them. So they can read it in their own language, but then take the assessment in English online. Again, it depends on what level of E&L we're speaking about.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So as much as we like to say that it's totally computer-based, I don't think it'll ever be totally computer-based because of certain accommodations and languages,
Which I'm
of
happy to
course.
see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so our successful opening, I will turn it over to Ms. Zecca at this point.
So we had some great highlights for this opening. It was probably the smoothest opening of our school since I've been here, partly because I'm definitely more comfortable and confident in my position. But the staggered start works for our students. Our 5th and 6th grade teachers have our 5th and 6th grade students on that first day. And when we have new students to the district who are 7th and 8th graders, they're able to come kind of open their lockers and get acclimated to the layout of our building. Our 7th and 8th grade students come in the second day, and that's when we kind of get the full house of everyone. Does take the 6th graders a little bit longer time to manipulate their lockers, and we have a lot of staff outside to help them, and that takes some time. Sometimes this year it took about 2 weeks for everyone to say, okay, like I'm comfortable and I'm confident moving on with my locker. On the first day of school, we were able to have our 5th grade new parent orientation. Mr. McCarty and I spent some time with the parents, answering questions, giving some of the feedback, or taking feedback from parents on just some kinds of things they might want to change. We take feedback very seriously, so if parents do have suggestions or feedback for us, please let us know. We're all growing in our areas of where we are. So just like students, we need feedback as well. 5th grade parents kind of got a little gist of what our building is like. They wound up leaving confident and comfortable that their students are in the right place. The following Friday, we wound up having a community meeting, and that's a way to touch base with our whole school. The community meeting is a place where we literally talk to our kids about expectations, about opportunities, and we really do want to focus on our opportunities for our students. We have a lot of opportunities in the middle school. I know sometimes middle school gets a bad name, but middle school is the real place where we're doing a lot of growing, and we want to provide our students with new opportunities. Partly that is sports for our athletes, and partly that is book fairs. We want every student reading. We have plenty of clubs, and they've started. We'll wind up offering a couple of additional clubs in the next coming weeks. One of the things that I'm really proud of that our school has participated in now for the past 2 years is our TOEC trip. Last year it was based out of a suggestion on building steering committee, and we took it and we ran with it, and we had a teacher apply for a grant, and all of our kids were able to go to the trip, all expenses paid, including lunch, and they had an amazing time. And that was something that we wanted to continue this year, and the parents on Building Steering felt that it was a nice opportunity for our students in the beginning of the year to truly bond outside of our building. So today was the last trip. Our 7th graders ended it, and from all the feedback that we've been getting from students, they're having an amazing time. It's something that they enjoy. It's time out of the building when they're with their friends and experiencing something different. Back to school night was actually based on the past 2 years' feedback from parents. Our 7th and 8th grade parents felt that they wanted to walk the building, go into those classrooms, get to know the teachers, and get to see the classrooms that their kids are sitting in. And it was a nice opportunity for them to also kind of get to know each other and look at, hey, this person's in my class. Okay, this person's a support person. They were able to meet our new guidance counselor during that time. They were able to see who some of the opportunities we're offering with regard to classes or point people. Every kid really needs to have a trusted adult in our building, and those opportunities are happening. We've already had, believe it or not, our first Washington, D.C. parent info meeting. We have lots of kids signed up for Washington, D.C., and we're going to continue to ask kids, would you like to go? Again, it's an opportunity for friendships. It's an opportunity for learning. It's an opportunity to really go out of state with your friends and explore our nation's capital. All of the feedback that we've gotten from students prior to this year is it's a memorable opportunity for them. It's a memorable experience. It's one that they take with them. Sure.
Just want to chime in on two things real quick. Washington, D.C., we have 69 students signed up right now. That means we have around 40 that aren't attending. We have sent out a number of communications. If there's any need of financial assistance or anyone wants to just come in and talk with administration, we would be happy to. Our goal is every single 8th grader attending this trip. Mrs. McCormick is our class advisor for this trip this year, and we're really looking forward to it. So about 40 more students come on board. We want to bring you to Washington, D.C. Second thing, 5th grade new parent orientation. Dr. Luft and I, as well as Ms. Zecca, have talked a little bit more. We've received your feedback about opening day, morning, I have children in the elementary school that I need to get on the school bus. So we've talked about possibly doing an evening kind of listening hour thing. Come ask us questions. We can review the parent orientation a little bit. So we might do like an evening piece and a morning piece to try to accommodate everyone. Because I know that in the summertime, you all are very busy on your vacations. So maybe we'll do it just prior, maybe the week prior to the opening of school to try to get everyone involved in that. Just wanted to mention those two things.
Thank you.
So here are some pictures from TOEC. This is what our kids do. This year they were themed. Our teachers last year actually picked themes for our students. So each grade level had a different theme. They were engaged in activities, mapping, environmentalism, sustainability, survival skills, and also team building. So our 5th graders, we're probably going to stay with our team building and kind of cooperative learning theme. But our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade were more curriculum-based themes. And here's who we're all for, our students. So we are so proud of our student government. We had our elections, and for 5th grade, we have Ryan, Isabella, and Jaden's in the audience for our 5th grade representatives. In our 6th grade, our representatives are Adam and William. 7th grade senators are Leah and Brendan, and our 8th grade co-presidents are Liam and Trevor. So the reason why we have student council is literally for having voice in our school. We want our kids to advocate for themselves. We want our kids to come to us with feedback. We want our kids to grow as leaders. So student government's the perfect place for that to happen. So there are some activities that student council actually hosts. The first one was the election. Our students worked really hard behind the scenes. We had a lot of kids coming to student council meetings, and even when they didn't win representation, they still are attending, they still are a voice. They are going to host the Halloween Bash that's happening in a couple of weeks, and that's always a fun one. Up next Friday. So get your dancing shoes. They're going to also host a food and clothing drive, as well as our spring fling in April. They're going to host a town art, music, and tech show, monthly dress themes, and they're meeting every month. So they really do come to school early in the morning, before most of the other students, and they're taking this on as a responsibility to be the voice of their peers. So I applaud each and every one of them. Back to Mr. McCarty.
Jamie, before you,
Sure.
the student council,
Yes.
is there a way that we could see a report from them? Or, I mean, sometimes our students aren't here, our high school students are not here, but they don't always check in with the middle school. But if the middle school would like us to know what they're doing,
Sure.
we'd love to hear from them if they have minutes, or, just because I think you're right, they're contributing a lot to their school, and I'd like to celebrate that.
That'd be awesome, and I can definitely talk to, hint, 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 one of the people who runs student council in the audience, but I'll make sure that I meet with our advisors, Mrs. Dreesen and Mrs. Nadal, so that we can come up with the plan for that.
They could pass it along to the high school reps
Sure.
to do it, or they can pass it along to us and we could share it. So,
Okay, awesome, that sounds like a
but
plan.
we'd love to hear what they're doing.
Or
Absolutely.
Or they could come present. if
Or they
wanted
could
to.
come.
Okay.
We'd be welcome.
if they wanna join us
We'd love
again.
to have them come and tell
Well,
us what
one
they're
thing
doing.
I just want to highlight that they did, and it kind of came out of in a spontaneous way, is their hurricane relief funds. So the students wound up talking and saying, hey, listen, like, we know that our country is being impacted by these hurricanes. We know that people have been devastated. What can we do? That's the kind of voice that we want. Those are the kinds of leaders that we want our kids to grow into. So they're collecting money. There's a coin drop in our cafeteria. We have one jug for Hurricane Helene victims, and we have one jar for Hurricane Milton. So our students are completely involved and thinking on a larger context outside of our community, which is amazing.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And by the way, when I was in the lunch group today in 8th grade, one of our math teachers was walking around giving coupons, and they were matching the donation. So a student that was putting in $1, the teachers were matching that donation, which I thought was really cool and innovative. So kudos to the teachers also who are encouraging donations and joining in to that relief. And that money goes to the Red Cross. So thank you to the Student Council for that. So some continued opportunities throughout the middle school, and I'll start with number one, and I know this has come up yearly with parent and teacher conferences, and Dr. Luft and I, as well as our teachers, have talked year in and year out about what these look like. I know in the elementary school, parent-teacher conferences are in the evening, and then I think some are scheduled during the day, but I think a lot of our families coming over, knowing that we're going to a different model, it doesn't look the same. But I brought this conversation up to our building steering committee yesterday to see if they'd like to tackle this and discuss it a little bit further. But what I try to advertise to families year in and year out is our teams have a team time daily. So our 5th grade teachers meet with each other at the same time. Our 6th meet with each other at the same time. Our 7th and 8th, depending on if they're between a couple or more grade levels, they're every other day, but some teachers are every day. So if families would like to schedule meetings to talk to teachers, we have that in our day. And I just asked them to reach out to the teacher directly or the team leader, and we can set those up. And what's nice is they try to do about 20-minute meetings. They have a 40-minute block in their day. So if we split that up with 2 sessions, that would be great. And again, it's something that I kind of put out to building steering to see if we could get more feedback on, because it is a little bit different in middle school. The fact that the kids don't just have one teacher anymore. They have 2 main core teachers in their 5th and 6th grade, amongst other teachers. And then in 7th grade, every period of the day they have a teacher. So 7 periods, maybe 6 periods out of the day, they have a variety of teachers. So I encourage families to reach out to the teachers, even if it's just to say who your child is and to hear about how your child has started their year. We're about 7 weeks in. Someone told me recently that the end of Q1 is November 8th. So October is upon us. We're almost halfway through, and it's moving quickly already. So November 8th. So if you haven't scheduled one yet and you'd like to, please reach out to those team leaders. We'd love to see you in the building. And the teachers would love to talk about your children, trust me. Dress themes. Thank you to our student council. Our Wednesday dress themes and our Friday spirit days are in full effect. In fact, yesterday was Orange Day for Unity. And I know next week starts Red Ribbon Week. And there's actually a dress theme for every day for about 8 days for Red Ribbon Week. So middle school kids especially love to dress up. And I can't tell you enough, Halloween is coming up. So we always encourage our kids to dress up on Halloween. No props allowed. And you've got to, censor what's being brought into the school. But middle school kids love Halloween. They love to dress up. We love to celebrate them. We don't have the parade like the elementary school, but it's that transition to middle school to then high school. Listen, I have a 9th grader. He dresses up in a baseball uniform every year. He still likes candy. So I know we all still like to dress up to an extent to get our candy. So again, middle schoolers, we're excited to see what Halloween looks like. And our Halloween bash, which is next Friday from 5 to 7, $10. Tickets are being sold every morning starting tomorrow. Student of the Month breakfast. Our first Student of the Month breakfast is tomorrow morning. Thank you to the PTA who's coming out to help sponsor our Student of the Month breakfast. Nominations are based on our 10 learner profile attributes, amongst other qualities. So we're very lucky to continue to nominate our students and recognize them for all the good that they do. And thank you for the PTA for donating money to help with the breakfast. And it's always nice to see the families in our building, because that's what matters. It takes a village. We often forget, sometimes we forget, when they come to middle school, they're not elementary anymore, but they are. So stay involved, please. Come to those breakfasts, enjoy breakfast with your children, because not many families get to have breakfast with their children. So this is an opportunity for sure. Clubs, as Ms. Zecca said, they're well underway. Lots of clubs being offered before and after school. And sports, I know Mr. Webb was up here. I have to tell you, my daughter is on the girls' volleyball team. I never watched volleyball growing up, and this team is unbelievable to watch. I know that I've heard in the past that they've been undefeated and whatnot. I don't want to jinx them, but their talent, there was like 46 girls who came out for that team. And the job that Miss Anderson is doing with the girls is tremendous amongst all of our modified teams. So we encourage our students to get started now because there is such a variety offered for students of all ability levels. Please keep that in mind. All right, enrollment. I will be really quick. Our enrollment is up 11. We're at 450 and growing, by the way. I am really rooting for the 6th grade. My goal is to get them up to 100 by the time they leave middle school. They were at like 84 just last year, 83. Look at that. We're already up 6. So if we go up 6 every year, we will make it to 100. I'm rooting for that 6th grade to get up to 100 by the time they leave middle school. Our other grade levels are very healthy. Our 5th grade is the largest in our building. We have embraced them. They are so excited to be in the middle school. They will tell us everything about their lives every day. I love it. I'm like a rock star when I enter into the dining hall. I tell you, they all pull me aside, tell me about what's going on in their life, and they're super excited to be at the middle school, and we're embracing them. It's been a great start. So up 11, we're at 450. And there's a large group coming over from the elementary school that's currently in 4th grade. So the reason why we have a lot of faculty and students here this evening is we have some new course offerings at our middle school, as well as the beautiful new student support suite. And I do want to reach out to our board to invite them in to see our student support suite, as well as our therapy dog, Murphy, and Miss Malagero. So we do have research in grades 5 through 8 that is new this year with Miss Hochberg. She's doing a tremendous job. She gets to see the entire building after the end of the whole school year. We have social emotional learning with Miss Ortiz and Miss Malagero. And we have language acquisition, or Spanish 6. So we're starting that foreign language in an earlier grade, and you'll hear more from those teachers in a minute. So at this time, I'd like to invite up Miss Malagero, who's going to speak to you a little bit about social emotional learning. And on behalf of Miss Ortiz and Miss Malagero, I want to thank them for all the hard work that they've put in to start the school year.
Good evening, everyone. So I'll talk a little bit about the SEL class that's new this year. I know in previous years there was SEL, there was push-ins to academic study. I always tell the students, and I told the parents at the parent orientation, it's about planting a seed, right? There's a lot of information that's going to come out to the students, some that might click with them, some that might resonate, some they were like, why are we learning about this at this moment? But in the beginning of the year and in the beginning of every encore, we always start with community building. So learning who's in our classes, the differences, the backgrounds, doing some fun STEM projects. A lot of the 5th graders loved, we did a Saving Sam project where there's a little gummy worm. They had to figure out and work together as a team how to rescue him. We go over time management and organizational skills. And I like to talk to the kids about, what's relevant to you. So tell me about your schedule. What does it look like when you wake up in the morning? What does it look like after school? And how can we fix it if it's, if there's a lot going on, or do you have a routine? Some kids say, I don't, it's something different every day. Or some say, oh, my parents have me on a very strict routine. And we talk about balance and what that looks like, right? Academics are important, sports and hobbies are important, but it's all about that balance that we have in life and how it relates to outside of school. We talk about empathy and communication. Recently, this month, we've been talking, Ms. Ortiz and I, about bullying prevention. Our 5th and 6th grade students got to do posters. They were hanging them up. There was also some other activities all the grade levels got to do in the cafeteria. This last week of Encores has been about college and career preparation. So we've been talking about how you could have multiple careers over your lifetime. And I encourage the students to ask the people in your life what they do, how they got there, their road there. And a lot of their teachers might have had careers before or after, or things they do on the side. And how our passions and our careers are not limited to one thing. So we all might end up in different places in life, and our journey is going to be different. For them, they're like, I can't even imagine what I'm going to be doing, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. I said, but it's important that we start that conversation. And it just starts with what are our hobbies, what are our interests. So myself, I'm teaching 5th and 7th grade SEL, and Ms. Ortiz is doing 6th and 8th. We'll get to move up with our students every year, which is a great thing. We build relationships, we get to know them. For the older grades, we have them for a bit longer, which is nice, but we see them less in the cycle. And some pictures here are showing the kids doing the Saving Sam project, creating the posters. That's a picture of Murphy and myself. And it's just been a really nice way to connect with students. Sometimes it can be isolating. As a counselor, you might only work with kids that are on your caseload, but these classes give us the opportunity to work with all students, touch base with them. They get to know who we are, where we are, and just to be a supportive adult in the building to help them. Thank you.
Sounds great.
By the way, I'd like to thank the board again and Dr. Luft for the opportunity of having 2 school counselors. I can't tell you how tremendous this is for all of our students. And I'm going to invite up a few students who had an assignment in their SEL class. I know Liam could not be here this evening. It's that time of year where sickness is starting to come around our buildings, which is understandable. So he couldn't be here this evening, but I am going to read a little bit about what he wrote. Something he learned about himself in the middle school is when he's determined to do something, he always has to finish it right, and he doesn't stop until then. And if you know Liam Cron, this could not be any truer. I guarantee Liam Cron will be up there someday as a representative for his class. He is very vocal, very deep thinker. One challenge that he's faced in middle school is trying to not get distracted by others in class, so focusing. Something new that he learned in research lab this year is there are thousands of things and perspectives to look at on one topic. One way he handles stress or challenges, he does something he enjoys. He distracts himself in a way. And if he could give advice to any new middle school student, he would say 6th and 7th grade are the roughest of middle school grades. During those grades, everybody finds their cliques and groups to hang out with. I've personally struggled because of this, and Chromebooks are awful. All students have struggled with Chromebooks. I could tell you that right now.
Chromebooks.
He's got stock in Apple.
I wish he was here to explain that further. But yes, I would add phones to that as well.
Yeah.
At this time, I would like to invite up Lindy Kluger-Glickman. Come on up, Lindy.
Hi there. As you know, my name is Lyndon Kluger-Glickman. I'm in 8th grade, and something I've learned about myself in middle school is that I can handle more responsibilities by juggling school, homework, extracurricular activities, and my home life. One struggle I faced in middle school has been learning to prioritize my daily responsibilities. It is challenging to force myself to do the things that I have to do before the things I want to do. Something new that I learned in SEL are strategies to help organize my everyday life. You might start noticing a theme across these questions. One way I handle stress or challenges is by allowing myself to take a break and do something that calms me down, like reading. I usually set a timer so that I don't get lost in my book, and when it goes off, I am almost always ready to go back to the challenge. One of the things that I like most about middle school is the amount of freedom that you're given. However, with that greater freedom comes a greater responsibility. My best advice for new students is to develop their own strategies to balance their want-tos with their have-tos so that they can have a successful middle school experience.
Very good.
I like to point out as adults, we still struggle with prioritizing the things we have to do compared to the things we want to do. That might not go away.
By the way, I'm envious of Lindy because she has probably read more books in her lifetime than I have. She is our student who walks the hallways reading a book, and she's really so worldly as a result of that. So if you ever want to read a good book, please consult Lindy. Very widely read. Next up, we have Gage Morales.
Hello, my name is Gage Morales. I'm in 8th grade, and something I've learned about myself this year in middle school is just be yourself. For example, try new styles of clothing or try making some new friends. Don't fit in with other people you're not meant to fit in, because it would just make you someone you're not. And then one challenge I've faced in middle school is trying to manage sports, social life, and academic performance. Something new that I've learned in SEL is time management and also how to control feelings. One way of handling stress or challenges is take a break or go on a walk. I have some snacks, watch YouTube, just something to get my mind off whatever I'm stressed about. If I could give advice to a new middle school student, I would say just try your best. Even though middle school might not make or break your life, just try and try and try. Even though you might fail and keep failing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gage.
Thank you, Gage. I have to commend you on the leadership in which I've seen you grow through middle school, and very proud of you coming up and having the courage to share that. Thank you, Gage. Next up, we have Kaya Phillip. Come on up, Kaya.
As you know, my name is Kai Phillip. I'm in 8th grade, and something I've learned about myself in middle school is that I'm kind and funny. One challenge that I face in middle school is taking the state test. It is challenging because some of the math state questions are harder than others. Something new that I learned in SEL this year is to prioritize my time better by setting timers and making sure I'm doing/finishing my homework by checking PowerSchool with Ms. Ortiz. One way I handle my stress is try to calm myself down and say to myself, I will be fine. If I could give advice to a new middle school student, I would say to make sure you pay attention in class and try your best to get good grades. Also study for tests.
So when we asked Kaya to come present this evening, her first question was, why me? Now you know why we asked her to present this evening. Just a ray of sunshine, always smiling, always telling you how it is, and great advice. And lastly, we have Trevor Specht.
Hello, my name is Trevor Specht, and I'm in 8th grade. Something I've learned about myself in middle school is I'm very balanced. I'm the theater kid that plays a sport for every season, in addition to getting solos in chorus and playing the guitar in my free time. One challenge I faced in middle school is staying on the high honor roll, along with balancing all the other stuff I do. Something I learned new in SEL or research lab is how to manage my time to make sure I get schoolwork done before I worry about extracurricular activities. One way I handle stress is tackle the problem right away. Don't hesitate. Face the challenge head on. If I could give advice to a new middle school student, I would say join lots of clubs and get to know peers and teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. And Trevor, talk about balancing. I also know he is a Boy Scout, and I also know that he is our 8th grade co-president with Liam. So thank you so much, Trevor. I have to say, it's really nice to hear from our student body because you all aren't in middle school every day like I am. So I get to smile, I get to see them come through the hallways, I get to have these conversations with them. For those of you that don't know, I'm a big Yankees fan. So when I sit down and I talk to them about baseball or their football game over the weekend or, you know, how they're doing academically, and I sit down and I form these relationships, these are young adults. And they come over to the high school and they come over to us from the elementary school, and we forget that they traveled through this very changing time in their life. And they are so successful. And I just wanted to recognize a few of them for all that hard work. There's many more in our middle school, 450, who go through this journey together. And I have to also thank Miss Ortiz, who couldn't be here for this evening. She did put together these slides. She did come up with these questions for them. And she is our school counselor for grades 6 and 8. And thank you to Christina for her work with our 5th and 7th graders.
Travis, I want to mention the fact that the new suite for the SEL, that is absolutely gorgeous. On your open house, I was there and I walked through it, and I had a nice tour of the place. I think back when I was a counselor back in the middle school years ago, we had a closet, literally, a stupid closet, like the size of a bathroom. It was ridiculous, and that was it. To see us progress to such an extent, to have a suite where the kids, you know, there's safety there, there's comfort there, and there's a sense of confidentiality. You know, people would walk by my little office on the first floor, and everybody would know who I was seeing at the time, and that did not bode well in many, many instances. So I thank you, and I thank your support staff for putting that together. It's outstanding. It really is.
And I'd like to add, I, as a board member, but I know I speak for the rest of the board, I can't tell you how important it is to hear from students and to hear in their own words how they're doing, what they're thinking. Their advice really, like, I'd like to give it to everybody. I'd like to stop watching the news on TV and just listen to kids, because you're making so much more sense.
Yeah.
But we really do appreciate you coming, students and parents, for bringing you. And we, love hearing from you. So thank you very much.
I agree, definitely. Those are what you all mentioned, are life lessons, and it's great that you've learned them at this young age, that you can carry it through your life, and very proud of all of you. So thank you, and as well as the parents, for bringing the students tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Miss Justine Trainer, who is in charge of our language acquisition in year 1 of IB. Justine?
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Justine Trainer, and I'm very excited to speak to you all about the new 6th grade Spanish course. Just a little bit about myself before I go into that. I've been teaching Spanish for about 8 years now. I've taught everything from 6th grade to 12th grade, but this year I get to teach the 6th grade Spanish, and I do have my FLES certification, which is really helpful. It's a certification that is specific for teaching younger students a new language. So it's really exciting that we have this new program. Teaching here has really been a great experience, and I'm excited to be working with your children this year in our new language program. In the 6th grade course, I have the entire 6th grade divided into 3 sections, and I see them on a 3-day rotation. It's a large group, but it's a dynamic one, and it's a really, really fun class that I get to teach every day. The course is designed to introduce the students to the Spanish language and culture in a way that is engaging and accessible, setting them up for continued success in 7th and 8th grade. The teaching methods that we use are comprehension-based and proficiency-oriented. We focus on language acquisition rather than language learning, which means that we're not just focusing on memorizing vocabulary and grammar, but learning and acquiring a new language through storytelling and meaningful repetition. In 6th grade, we use a curriculum called Vamos, and in 7th and 8th grade, we build on that foundation with the Somos curriculum. Both were written by the same author, and they use the same method for acquiring a new language. Their core method for acquiring the new language is through storytelling. This consistent approach allows students to progress smoothly through our program, gaining confidence and proficiency year after year. So a little bit more about the Vamos curriculum. This curriculum is designed specifically for exploratory Spanish courses like ours, and it has 3 main objectives. The first objective is the development of linguistic proficiency. The second is exposure to the products, practices, and perspectives of various Spanish-speaking communities. And third is fostering a genuine interest in continuing language study. So while we're focusing on language skills, we're also exploring different cultures and traditions in a way that sparks curiosity and a deeper understanding. What makes our program unique is that we've integrated the Vamos curriculum with the new middle years program, or MYP, that we recently started in PVMS. This means that while your students are learning Spanish, they're also developing critical thinking and global awareness skills. For example, we explore topics like Mexico's rich history with chocolate or Peru's incredible biodiversity. We're not just learning about the language, but also about the world in which that language exists. This aligns perfectly with MYP's emphasis on intercultural understanding, allowing us to meet language acquisition objectives while encouraging students to think beyond their own experiences. I'm really looking forward to guiding our students through this exciting year of language discovery and being able to work with them throughout their middle school years in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So yeah, that's a little bit about the new program. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
This program is so important. It's something I've advocated for since coming on the board. We now have Spanish at an introductory level at the elementary school, and it continues right through 6th grade. I love it. It's so important. This is the second dominant language in our country, and our kids need to understand it, understand the culture. So I applaud the school for instituting this, especially at the 6th grade level. That's outstanding.
Thank you. And by the way, I was going to have Miss Trainer do her presentation in Spanish, but she teaches all of her classes 90% Spanish. I was in there the other day, and they were doing a whole story on a tarantula. And I was lucky enough to follow along because she does such a nice job with her students. And I'm not kidding you, it is 90% Spanish all the time. So they're immersed constantly, and I really enjoy my time in that class because it's the Vamos now in 6th grade and the Somos in 7th and 8th grade. And both Miss Trainer and Miss Belfont, they are on the same page all the time. Literally, they plan so well together, and our students are so lucky to have them.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to provide an IB Middle Years Program update. I know Mr. Kala couldn't be with us here with us this evening, but Miss Mary Kay Cohen is. So come on up, Mary Kay.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Mary.
These are tough acts to follow between the children and Ms. Trainer. I'm a teacher at the Putnam Valley Middle School as well as the MYP IB coordinator.
and I'm here to just give you a little update on what we've done in the past, last year, and this year, moving forward. It's a really exciting year because right now we are a candidate school for the IB MYP program, and we're hoping to become an authorized school by the end of this school year. So looking back, in September of last year, we actually did a presentation opening of schools around the same time. We started strong at our superintendent's conference day, brainstorming with the teachers on how we can rebrand our school and become immersed in the IB world. And we did that, and if you come and visit the middle school ever, and the students know, we have street signs all over our hallways that have the learning profile attributes that you've heard the children actually talk about. Being balanced, that's one of the learning profile attributes. And caring, knowledgeable, thinkers, communicators, all of those words are around our school now, hanging up on street signs that were designed for that purpose. And moving forward, we started to provide training to our staff and teachers about how to teach in the MYP, and they have a very complex unit planner where you try to incorporate lots of different things, where you're trying to basically not teach kids what to think, but how to think. And so you have to incorporate key concepts, related concepts, looking at education with a global view. So we have these global contexts, and the teachers had to learn how to write these units. So we provided training after school during our team meetings that Travis mentioned. We meet weekly, and they collaborated together. And by December, all of the 6th through 8th grade teachers completed their first MYP units, and in their subject areas. And there's 8 core subject areas. And one thing I want to talk about is the distinction between the middle years program and our high school having the DP, or the diploma program. The middle years program includes all students and all staff. Everybody in the school is immersed in this framework of learning. So it's not that some misconceptions or people think that only some students will be involved in the middle years program, but everybody is going to be involved in some way, shape, or form in every single class. In fact, the SEL and research lab that you're hearing about is part of the MYP framework. The approaches to learning, the things that children were talking about tonight. So in addition, in December, the 5th grade teachers used literature. They worked with our library media specialist and found storybooks to read to the 5th graders. So each month, that was the pictures up there. This month, they read a story, Empty My Pot, and it was teaching the children about the word principled, which is a kind of a higher level word for 5th graders. And then they related to being principled, and they wrote some things on their flower pot up there about being principled. Why is it important to become principled, or to be principled? So that was just one example that they did in the past month. And this month, they started to read a book about being good communicators. And so each month, the 5th grade teachers are introducing the students to the learner profile attributes, and so that they're prepared to learn in that way in grades 6 through 8. And so we were working on training and professional development, and as the year progressed, we also had to write these IB policies that are required for authorization. And they involve language policies, which actually Justine and Maria and Angela Matons worked with Stephanie and I on, and we created our own language policy. We worked with Natalie Doherty and the administration on our inclusion policy about our special education practices. And there's these policies are also, I'm going to show you on our website so you can learn more about them. Those are just 2 examples. There's an assessment policy as well, where we worked with the teachers and talked about how we assess our students and how that's going to change with more student-centered activities and projects and presentations. We're going to move towards using rubrics again to really, and have kids self-reflect and grade themselves using these rubrics, which is a change from just being tested. So that's kind of exciting. In March, we actually had a visit from our consultant, and she gave us a full report on how we're doing as moving towards authorization, and we had a lot of positive feedback. and she had great things to say about things she saw at our middle school. So that was very encouraging, and we were reflective about that report. We shared that with the teachers, and we've made some updates to things that we need to continue to work on. We ended our last PD in June. We told the teachers to think about, as we look forward to IB in the 2024-2025 year, what are some wins, wants, will-dos, wonderings, and worries. It's called the W protocol. And the teachers shared different feelings that they had about teaching in the IB and where they were looking forward to moving in the next school year. And these are just some of the highlights of some of the things that teachers talked about that they felt were wins for last year. And then the will-dos are things that we're moving towards and continuing to work on this year. So you can see the teachers felt accomplished by completing their MYP units, but they're also excited about what they're going to do this year, implementing them, and also continuing to write more units that encourage kids to think critically and understand how what they're learning connects to the real world and have that real global-minded thinking. We celebrated Student of the Month last year, and Mr. McCarty kind of already touched on that. Another win is that all the teachers, art teachers, music teachers, individuals and societies, which is what we call social studies now, language and literature teachers, math, science, we all have this common vocabulary that's being used so that kids will naturally start making connections between the different subject areas. There's something up there called subject group overviews. You can see that those were completed. That's another requirement for authorization. It's basically a big curriculum map that involves all of the pieces of the unit planner that IB requires. And what's great about that is it encouraged collaboration between teachers and talking about what are the big questions, what do we want students to learn over the course of the year. So it's basically sort of an updated curriculum map, I would say, and it really fosters unbelievable discussions that the teachers have with each other and trying to make things exciting for kids. So just, moving on to this year, we started our superintendent's conference day asking the teachers to reflect on their learning profile traits that they exhibited over the summer to, again, get the year started with that vocabulary and how they're feeling. And we encourage them to ask the kids the same thing, which learning profile attributes did they connect with the best. And moving into October, we're continuing our professional development with teachers. I really wished I had the students make a video about MYP. That's my goal, to have next time we come to have something where you can take a peek into our middle school using a video and having the kids really talk about how things look different and how their education is impacting them. So that's what I'm hoping for. We do have a website, which I wanted to just end with and show you that we added to the Putnam Valley Central School District website. If you click on the middle school, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a link to the Middle Years International Baccalaureate program. And can I actually click on that? Because I wanted to see if, will it open up? Okay. And that will, when you click on that little link, it will bring you to our IB MYP website, which is something we're working on being more open to the parent community about what IB is. So if anyone's interested, they can learn more about it by going to our website now. That's on the school website. This is a brochure that we made. I passed it out to all of the board members, but it's also in digital form on our website. Just explaining to them what the IB MYP program is all about. And some of the tabs at the top talk more about the learner profile for parents that are confused about things that we may have said tonight that they don't understand, because there's a lot of new language in the IB, but and so it could be confusing. And when you first hear all of these different words, key and related concepts, global context, the statement of inquiry, all of these things are part of their unit planning. And so it's all there for people to read if they're interested. Next to, on the last tab, the additional information, is where you can find those policies that I've talked about. They're really not a board policy. They're just IB required policies that we're teaching, we're kind of using as our practice. This is our Putnam Valley's practices. They're not like a typical board approved policy. So I just wanted to make that distinction. But IB does require that the schools have these in place so that we can be authorized. There's also a frequently asked questions document there for parents to look at. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. You can always email myself or Stephanie, and we're happy to continue to support our teachers and our
I
students.
love your idea of doing a video and putting it on the website even, yeah, you know,
Yes.
so that parents can actually hear how the kids view the program, because it is new, totally new. And I'm sure, you know, the parents went through old school, you know.
Yes.
So it would be great to get a child perspective on that.
You just reminded me, we had a meeting yesterday with the building steering committee, and one of the parents had 6 students come through Putnam Valley, still in Putnam Valley, some graduated, and she's a parent representative on the building steering committee, and she shared how happy she was that Putnam Valley is moving forward with the IB programs. She said, I want parents to know how lucky we are that Putnam Valley is supporting this. She was almost going to come tonight, but she had a conflict. But we were just trying to ask them, like, from the parent perspective, like, what do you need from us to help you understand this program? And they mentioned about, like, just putting things out on social media. Yeah. And so we're going to try to do things like that, like, did you know, and maybe some Instagram posts with little blurbs of, like, what the kids are doing or what's going on each month. So we're hoping to continue to give more information to the community about the program.
Good.
Well, as the world changes daily, second by second, sometimes it seems, I think we needed to adapt for our students, but that can't happen without a tremendous amount of work from the teachers and the administrators, because we cannot help our students without leadership. So we thank you and Stephanie,
definitely.
Dr. Luff, Jackie, Natalie, Travis, and Jamie, and all of the teachers who are turning their world over. It's exciting, but it's a tremendous amount of work, and we recognize how hard you guys are working. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate that support from all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mary Kay.
No, wait a minute.
I just wanted to say that I think it's really amazing that you're using the same vocabulary in all of the classes. I think it makes it a lot more easy for the students, the teachers, the parents to understand how each of the learner profiles is connected and how it's connected to each of the classes. And I didn't realize that was happening, and I think that's just really great.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would also like to recognize Mary Kay and Stephanie for the leadership role that they have taken with our teachers. Because it's one thing to teach students every day, it's another to be in front of your colleagues and to be able to work and teach with them through a process that we're all kind of learning together. And I just know that that's not easy. And they have taken on tremendous leadership values and skills through this process. And that's part of IB. It's being a risk taker. And it's the leadership skills that both Stephanie and Mary Kay have taken on and grown with. We administratively recognize and we reflect weekly, and we have these discussions with Jackie. And there's tremendous amount of communication between all of us as is needed. And our staff has grown tremendously. They continue to give us feedback. And I know that by the end of this year, they will have their units in place and on the ground and actually in the process with their students, because it's only when you implement them with your students can you truly reflect on that. All of you that have been teachers in the classroom, you know that the best laid plans on a lesson can sometimes not go so well because you didn't anticipate something, or it was a certain time of day, and then you reflect on that and you change it either for the next class or for the next year. And that's a big part of the IB process. And I just wanted to recognize and thank them for the tremendous amount of work that they've embarked upon.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board on the entire presentation? This is another picture. This was actually from TOEC yesterday. Look at how beautiful it was outside.
I just want to comment, the word that really stuck with me was the use of the word rebrand. And I think as a leadership team, when we started having conversations regarding the possibility of the middle years program in the middle school, our vision was exactly that, right? Finding a program that would allow us to rebrand our middle school and really unify very sort of 5th grade elementary grades to 8th grade, nearly high school grades, and what could bring all those grades together. And I think every example we saw here this evening, whether it be the student voice, students coming up and talking, whether it be SEL, whether it be the expansion of world languages, or the presentation regarding the middle years program, I think all of that speaks to that rebrand. And while it's nice I get lots of thank yous and accolades for it, I deserve none of them. I couldn't be more proud, and I said this many times, of both our teacher leaders, Mary Kay and Steph, our teachers that have really embraced this and done, I think Barbara was saying, it's a tremendous amount of work to rebrand a building, right? To rebrand what you're doing, your curriculum, your instruction, and the pedagogy behind it. That takes a tremendous amount of work, and our teachers have really done extraordinary things in a very short period of time to get us there. So I don't know why that one word stuck with me, but I think what we saw here this evening was really sort of a culmination of that rebranding and all the work that's happened there. Thanks to our teacher leaders, our building leaders, our district leaders. I know Jackie's been instrumental in helping roll this out in the middle school. So they really deserve a lion's share of the credit that happens along with our teachers and students. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. And I would like to extend an invitation to the board to come take a tour with us. I'd love to have you in, love to have you meet Murphy, love to have you come in and see this in action in our classrooms. We can go through a tour, show you our new student support suite, show you IB in action, because it's one thing to video and record and show to the public. It's another thing to show our board, who then relays that information to our public as well. So I'd like to extend that invite to come in and really see it in action.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
We'll be calling.
Would love that.
Nice job, thank you.
Okay, do you want to be the middle school board rep?
Yeah.
Come to all the meetings?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Thank you.
All right, so our last, you're welcome to stay for the policy presentation. Don't feel obligated to leave if anybody wants to.
Yeah, policy updates.
Go.
Take care.
So
Have a good evening.
our last presentation this evening is the second reading of policy series 7000 and 8000. So like the previous series, this is the work of our policy committee, the board policy committee. We had the opportunity to use the NYSBA revisions as well as sort of accepting those or not. So the policy committee has reviewed these, and this is really our opportunity to update these policies, 7,000, 8,000 series, and as well as the first reading of the 9,000 series. So that the 9,000 will be the last policy itself that we have to adopt. We do have to circle back around and do the code of conduct, right. So we're waiting to get that from NYSBA, and it'll follow the same process. It's actually a little more complicated of a process. It requires a public hearing, obviously input from our administrators from the other buildings. So that work will continue this year, and it'll really be an impressive feat that we will have in the sort of 2 years since we started really receiving these, having completed a complete review of all of our policies. And I know our goal is moving forward, maintain this policy committee, pick 1 or 2 a year to continue reading to revising. So the work will continue in a much smaller amount, but it'll allow us to ensure that all of our policies are maintained, kept up to date. So that's it.
So the 7,000 series was on facilities.
Right.
Facilities gets like 4 pages. It's not even fair for them.
Very short.
The 8,000 is safety. There were a lot of parts to that
That was
8,000,
dark. That was very dark, because there were a lot of situations, concerning the health and welfare of the building and the kids. So, yeah, we spent a lot of time on that, on the 7,000, and then...
Did we make a lot of changes to the
Well,
8,000, or?
COVID introduced a whole new thing, this pandemic, shutting down stuff and the procedures that you have to follow, God forbid, there's shootings and things like that. So, as I said, that was kind of dark. Personnel, that's
Yeah.
us and our policies, with the staff and things.
Okay.
But it's all good, I think.
And you and Crystal, thank you very much for
Yeah.
your work on
I
that.
was going to say again, thank you, Sam and Crystal, for
Yeah.
taking one for the team.
Okay. We don't have any student reps tonight, so the superintendent, they can't jump on your, on your parade.
That's true. So for anyone who walked in the high school this evening, you see that our students are preparing for their color wars. There's a lot of orange in that main hallway right there. So those festivities are tomorrow. Some of the things that have happened, we had our homecoming football game with a little bit of pizzazz. We won dramatically, big numbers, lots of touchdowns. But the evening started with a surprise flyover. So we have a parent of one of our students is a pilot for the Westchester County Aviation through the Westchester County Police, and they had reached out inquiring about doing a flyover, and we, of course, welcomed the opportunity. I was actually really impressed by the timing. I'm like, I threw poor Rob under the bus. I was like, yeah, our AD will figure out how we're going to let the pilot know where we are in the national anthem so they could fly over at exactly the correct time. And they were able to do it. Our SRO had his walkie-talkie on live, right? So they had to clear this because all of the other police agencies were listening to our national anthem, including the pilot up in the sky who was circling around. So by just listening on his walkie-talkie, he was able to time his approach and fly right over our football field at the same time. Because it wasn't announced, there was a little bit of confusion. People were like, did he do that on purpose? I'm like, yeah, the thing almost landed on the field. Of course he did it on purpose. He turned around, he came back, and he did another flyover, so it was really cool.
That was impressive.
Yeah, it was
Very
really
impressive. Yeah.
On the video I made, you could hear me go, oh, that's really good timing. He timed it perfect. So that was my fear, that he was going to mess up the timing. And thanks to our Touchdown Club, so our football booster club, paid for fireworks display, and I know one of the slides had a picture of the fireworks. It was really impressive, and obviously the fact that we won helped things. It was our senior night, so it was a really fantastic event, and kudos to everyone who took part in making that happen. As we've discussed in previous meetings, the district is proposing a facilities project that'll be voted on later this winter. Our plan is to do a presentation during our next board meeting, so we'll be inviting our architects. This is really the culmination of work that started well over a year ago with the board appointing a facilities planning committee, so a group of constituents from across the community, parents, teachers, administrators, community members coming together, building towards reviewing our fiscal situation, facilities planning, 5 long-range planning documents. So really the culmination of a lot of work, I think, is going to bring us to a very good place. And that sort of presentation, so the 29th will really kick that off, what will be several months of public relations, marketing, making sure that all community members are informed as to what we're hoping to do, why we're hoping to do it, what the financial implications of that work is, and ultimately what the long-term benefits to our school district is. As we said from the very beginning, any project that we do is going to be tax neutral. So the money that we will be investing in our schools will be replacing money that we would have paid off regarding capital projects for our schools. So tax neutral means that individual taxpayer will not be asked to contribute more money to fund this new project. We'll simply be rolling over existing debt into that. Along with the fact that we get nearly 67% back in state aid and use of capital reserves and other funds that the district has put aside to make this all possible. you'll see a vast majority of the work is infrastructure-based, parking lots, roofs, geothermal wells at the elementary school, a lot of important infrastructure work that needs to be done. Mr. Spittle and I had the opportunity to walk the solar farm with the Yorktown engineer. So he was very friendly and accommodating. He explained all of the research and studies and things that they do to help mitigate any water that's flowing from any additional water that would be flowing from their site onto ours. So we reviewed all of the things that are in place, and now I think we're sort of in this wait and see phase. We've gotten very little rain since the last flood that flooded our parking lot. The site, they've done a tremendous amount of site work since that day. So we're anxious, maybe cautiously hopeful, to see what happens the next time we get a monsoon-esque rain, and hopeful that the retention ponds and the level setting things that they put in there and all the other fancy things they did on that site work the way they're supposed to, and we don't end up with a flood in our parking lot again. So
Are they going to put any pine trees or firs along the border?
we passionately made that request. They suggested we write a letter. I said they're tired of getting our letters. We write them lots of letters. So maybe we could write another letter to the planning board. I know he was going to go back and speak with members of the planning board. They very graciously put in a buffer zone along Foothill. There's 0 buffer zone between them and our campus. So we continue to advocate for such, as well as repairs to the drainage work coming off of Foothill. So we walked up and looked at that pipe, and we're hoping that they could reconstitute that pipe to divert some of the water that's otherwise coming on there.
Retention pond, it can go right to that. I mean, that would make sense.
Yep. So we'll wait and see how that all works out. We've had our principal and administrative team meetings. I attended a Lower Hudson Council school superintendent's meeting focused on regionalization, which is a state initiative that really looks to seek input from school districts by region regarding setting the New York State Education Department's priorities, specifically regulatory and legislative changes that would allow schools to better do the things that they hope to do. We had a finance committee meeting for the health consortium that really focused on finding a new company to do the auditing and onboarding, as well as everybody's favorite subject, the working spouse rule. So no decisions have been made yet. I know the next meeting is the end of October, where I believe a decision will be made. And I attended this morning the Chief School Administrator's fall retreat. Sounds fancy. It was just down in Briarcliff, no tropical island. But it was an opportunity to get together with some of my colleagues from around the region and talk about some of the things that are sort of on our plates and pressing issues. So a lot of communication strategies, cell phone use, and potential legislation related to that, among a variety of other topics impacting schools in our region. And then some of the upcoming events. The NYSBA, New York State School Board Association Convention, will be held in New York City. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday next week. I know I'll be attending. I know Barbara's virtually attending, and I believe Crystal is also attending in person. I spoke a little bit about our Color Wars event tomorrow. IB Information Night is scheduled for October 22nd. And then our kickoff for the emergency first responders, we spoke a little bit about, was Thursday. We'll have our middle school first responder event. I know we traditionally do the apparatus event. We're looking to alternate between year and year, from one year to the next. So really our middle school focus this year is on volunteerism, right? All of these, the fire service, the ambulatory service, rely on volunteers, and it's something that we continue to hear from them as the number of individuals volunteering continues to decrease. So we want to provide a fun and exciting way for our students to hear and see more about what these individuals do, and hopefully spur some interest in being a volunteer to help support these organizations that are so vital to our community. Elementary school on Friday the 25th has our read aloud, so individuals are asked to sign up and they'll be assigned classrooms, but it's always a great opportunity to come in uniform and read to elementary school students. Some of them, I can tell, are already becoming aspiring educators. You gotta be careful, because if you come in and read and you do a really good job, you could find yourself with, rather than a class of kids, with an auditorium full of kids. So we have a couple individuals that have now moved on to keynote speaking. So they come in and they're talking to, rather than 20 kids, they're talking to 60 or 80 kids. But it's always a fantastic event. And then the culminating event is the football game. Friday, November 1st at 5:30 is our first responder recognition football game. And again, whether paid or volunteer, whether living in Putnam Valley or serving Putnam Valley, we encourage all first responders to come out and be recognized. The last thing I have is TheaterWorks, their fall drama, The Girls in the Boat, starts November 8th, 9th, 7 p.m., and Sunday, November 10th at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move to the business agenda. Number one, Mr. Oliverio.
Might take half hour.
Take a deep breath.
No, this will be quick. Determining that an action to capital improvements at Putnam Valley Elementary School, Putnam Valley Middle School, and Putnam Valley High School constitutes a Type 2 action and is not subject to further review. Now, recommended action. Whereas Putnam Valley Central School District, the district, is the sponsor of certain improvements at Putnam Valley Elementary, Middle, and High School, the project involving the following. 1, Putnam Valley Elementary Schools improvements, nurse suite renovations, library renovations, heating plant upgrades and replacement to include installation of ground source heat pump, wells, and associated plant, expansion of the playground and installation of new play structures. Other high priority improvements to the existing building and site. Number 2, the Putnam Valley Middle School renovations, all room renovations, parking, driveway, walkway, lighting, and other site improvements. Field improvements, including the installation of artificial turf, LED play field lighting, and associated improvements. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning improvements. Other high priority improvements to the existing building and site. Putnam Valley High School, their renovations, parking, driveway, walkway, lighting, and other site improvements. Roofing replacements, installation of photovoltaic roof-mounted solar panel systems, field improvements, including the installation of artificial turf, LED play field lighting, and associated improvements. Other high priority improvements to the existing building and site. Whereas pursuant, let's get this down here, come on. Not working. Oh, there he goes. Whereas pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQA, as set forth in Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law and the requirements of the implementing regulations set forth at 6 NYCRR Part 617, the regulations, the district desires to comply with SEQA and their regulations with respect to the project. And whereas pursuant to the regulation, the district has considered the project in light of the actions included on the Type 1 list specified in Section 617.4 of the regulations and in light of the actions included on the Type 2 list specified in Section 617.5 of the regulations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that 1, the project constitutes a Type 2 action as a quoted term is defined in the regulations because it falls within the ambit of one or more of the following actions included on the Type 2 list specified in 6 NYCRR 617.5 C1, 2, and or 8. 1, maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes in existing structure or facilities. Number 2, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site and or routine activities of educational instructions, including expansion of existing facilities by less than 10,000 square feet of gross floor area. The project is not subject to further review under SEQA. Notwithstanding, number 3, notwithstanding that the project is not subject to further review under SEQA, the district will continue to comply with guidance issued by the New York State Education Department as applicable. A copy of this resolution shall be provided to the New York State Ed Department.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I feel the need to say that's a lot of words. That's really just saying that we're doing our due diligence to make sure there's no environmental impact.
Exactly.
And it's a type 2 action, which really just means we're not building a new building. So it'd be so much quicker if we could just say it that way.
We're
But
just doing improvements in rehabilitation.
right, so
on
it's type
existing.
2 because we're not building a new structure, building a new school. We're not infringing on any sort of environmental concerns because we're just reconstructing or revising existing buildings and spaces. And that's what all that means. Thank you,
I
Sam.
really appreciate your Cliff Notes.
Otherwise, everyone would go, what?
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 2, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Laura Egan's as a school monitor at the elementary school, effective October 18th, 2024, with a probationary period of 52 weeks, October 17, 2025, on step 1 of the CSEA salary schedule.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 3, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Bethany Potillo to a 4-year probationary term as a teaching assistant, commencing on October 28, 2024, and terminating on October 27, 2028, in the teaching assistant tenure area on step 10 of the CSEA salary schedule, and is in accordance with policy number 9250. Ms. Potillo holds teaching assistant continuing certification.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 4, please.
Approve the retirement of current policy series 700 facilities development and 7,000, facilities development and 8,000 safety, and approve the second reading of updated policy series 7,000 and 8,000. The action is resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to retire the currently existing policy series 7,000, that's facilities development, 8,000 safety policies, and approve the second reading of policy series 7,000, document 78/25, and 8,000, document 79/25, attached to the agenda and official meetings of this, minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 5, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve the first reading of policy series 9000, personnel, as per doc 8025, attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution passes. Number 6, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve the corrective action plan, CAP, for the internal auditor's report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, as per document number 81-25, attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Okay, I'm going to open up to the public to comment on any topic. Upcoming meetings and presentations, Dr. Luff?
So our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, so it's a Tuesday, so we don't have to meet on Halloween. Tuesday, October 29th, and that'll be our high school opening of schools presentation, as well as our facilities planning committee update. And the following meeting will be November 12th, and that'll be a tech department and facilities department open of schools updates.
Yeah, so we are moving the November 14th meeting
both
to,
Tuesdays, yes.
to Tuesday, November 12th. Maureen, do we have to send out a?
Oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know that.
but Janet can't make it.
I know,
Is there another
but-
date or no?
There wasn't another date that wasn't already conflicting with
All right,
something else.
Because I can't make the 12th or the 13th.
I understand. Okay.
And we'll talk about the other,
All right.
so
So the 12th it is.
the 12th it is. We don't need a motion to do that, do we, Maureen? Can we just decide? Okay. Board member comments.
I just want to compliment the homecoming game that they had. I've attended a lot of these, and it used to be a bonfire and everything else, but this was fantastic with that flyover, and then the fireworks, and of course the score. I mean, how could you do better than 50 to zip? Woodland, sorry. But
And then lights?
Yeah, we also ordered the Northern Lights.
oh well,
Yeah.
I missed those. I climbed to the top of the thing and it was gone. I couldn't see it. It was sad. But yeah, they had those as well.
I got a call from my mother in South Carolina telling me to check out the Northern Lights.
So you saw them down
She
there?
said, find somewhere dark and look. No, but she knew in New York you could see
Yeah.
them. And I said, I'm standing on a turf field. I'm probably in the most lit location.
Exactly.
For many square miles.
It was great, and I hope this tradition of all those different activities continue with that homecoming. It was terrific.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I'm going to digitally attend a implementing AI in education workshop on Monday and Tuesday, and I'm really excited to talk about it next time.
Good.
And tell you guys what I learned,
That's great.
because I don't get it, so I'm excited.
Many of us don't get it.
I think I'm doing one on Monday.
He knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
So I did want to share that on November 13th, Mr. Mello, myself, and likely others have been invited to present to the Garrison School Board during their public board meeting. So November 13th, if any of the board members is interested in joining, you're more than welcome to attend and be there and be recognized. And it'll really be an opportunity for us, while we've invited them to some of our meetings, this will be an opportunity for us to go to their meeting to tell their entire community a little bit more about Putnam Valley and what we have
Could
to
you
offer.
send us the time
Yep.
factor and everything else to us?
Yeah.
Sure.
If we're available, yeah, that would be a
I think it
good
would be
show of
nice,
support.
yeah, to show support.
I agree. I agree.
So I would plan to attend,
Yeah,
and then
same here.
I'd see who else could.
I'll
attend.
hop in a carpool.
Huh?
I'll hop in a carpool.
Okay, that's good to know. Jeanette, anything new?
Just keeping up with all the emails, so.
The fall drama, The Girls on the Boat, it is really about crewing,
Yeah,
you know?
that's exactly right. Yeah.
So it should be
that's what
really
it's about.
interesting. So I encourage everybody to go. I know that there's a parent workshop on November 7th, right, Jackie? On cell phone,
The cell phone parent summit.
but and it's at the middle school, but it's all parents, any
All
age.
parents are welcome, yes.
Now,
It's just being held at the middle school.
Is this a meeting to decide whether we're going to outlaw cell phones, or is
No.
it just
No.
a general discussion?
It's a general discussion. We'll have local experts to talk about the research regarding cell phones in students, adolescents, and have our parents have opportunity in roundtables with each other to discuss what they're seeing with their students, strategies they use at home, and really kind of better understand how to approach their students and the impact cell phones are having on their students.
I know the governor is gung-ho on, doing a standard the policy for the cell phones throughout the whole state, so it may be moot, Yeah.
I would encourage her, if she can institute such a ban, that it include a ban at home.
There's a group in
Because-
Putt Valley for
Yeah, 'cause
wait
that's
until
a
8.
big problem. That's right.
Fixing the problem in school is probably the least of social media student cell phone issues.
Yep.
It's the 17 hours a day when they're not in school where most of the issues stem from. So
And hopefully, with the roundtable and things like that, I mean, it's really hard, I will say, for parents to keep up. The students are so far ahead of most of the parents in terms of
The technology,
the
yeah.
technology.
Yeah.
That I hope that it's, really informational and people can really focus
That's
on
good.
that. The reason we're changing the board meeting on the 14th is that's the regional dinner, which is sponsored by West Putt, but really sponsored by the superintendent's group. What is their title?
Lower Hudson Council of
Lower,
School Superintendents.
Lower Hudson Council of School Superintendents. The main speaker is going to talk about funding for the future, which is about New York State Foundation aid. Maureen has to make the reservation, so Jackie, are you going to go this year? You thinking?
I'm happy to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure.
We could make a carpool. Jackie and I did last
You
year.
got it.
Jeremy brings his own car, but the rest of us, so if anybody wants to go, if you let Maureen know and let me know, and then we'll work out something so we could ride together. It really was really good last year. And I think it's important to be with other superintendents and school board members and other administrators in talking about these things that affect all of us. So let Maureen know so that she can make the reservation. Let me know, and we'll figure out how to get there. So it's 6:30 to 9:30 that night. I did the West Putt, New York State School Board's annual meeting. It only lasted 6 hours this year, not 8, so we were really glad to be done at 10.
Took one for the team,
not,
thank you.
not midnight. My husband was really glad. All the things that we supported passed. There were some really good discussions, and all of that is available online for any of you that want to look at it.
For 10 hours of free time.
You can read it faster than we actually talked about it. Anyway, anything else? Okay, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good night.